Hello and welcome to another fun-filled episode of Movie Thoughts. I'm your host, Dominick Tartamella. If this is the first time you're joining us, hello. Welcome to the podcast where I talk about movies and I get all up in there and I give my thoughts and all that bullshit. How's everybody doing today? Everybody good? Everybody living the dream like I am? Living the dream. That's what I say every day. Low-key, at any moment having, nervous breakdowns and stuff, but I just say, living the dream, right? That's what we do. Bury it deep down, whatever we're going through, and we keep a close eye on it. And today, this is, what episode is this anyway? What episode is this? We're talking about episode 58. Boom. We're almost at 60 episodes. The Flash comes out this week. Maybe I'll try to make that my 60th episode. I guess I kind of could have split these two into two episodes, what I'm going to talk about today, but, and then I could have led into The Flash. That could have been episode 60, but no. Flash might be episode 59. But episode numbers don't matter, because numbers don't matter, and time doesn't matter. Time is an illusion. It's all bullshit. If this is the first time you listen to the podcast, This is the emotional roller coaster I go through before I start. Sometimes it's like this. What are you going to do? Right? But yeah, The Flash is coming out this week. Oh my fucking God. If you go back, way back when the trailer dropped, that Super Bowl trailer, I had a whole episode on that a while ago. And I usually don't do that on this podcast. It's usually movie, full movie we do. But I'm so excited for this movie. That was episode 35. You go way back to that from February and listen to my thoughts on the Flash Super Bowl trailer. But that was it's here, right? Flash is coming out this week. I got my tickets. I'm going to go Thursday night. I would have went earlier. I would have went to like a 3 p.m. showing because there are some 3 p.m. showings, but I'm going to a 6:30 showing because I'm not able to go to the earlier one. So it's here, right? And that means that fucking Michael Keaton is here. And if you know this podcast, you know my love of Michael Keaton, right? I mean, you know it. All right, I've talked about Batman. I've talked about Beetlejuice. They're doing Beetlejuice 2. Go listen to me rant and rave about that. I'll try not to talk about Beetlejuice 2 in this episode so much because there is an episode where I delve into it a little bit, that they're filming that in London. But yeah, The Flash premiered, I think, yesterday. I don't know where it was. Maybe an LA premiere. I don't know. Everybody was pretty much there. Michael Keaton wasn't there because he is filming Beetlejuice 2, so he's committed to that, I guess. Maybe he said, I don't want to fucking, do press for this, maybe, because he's fucking Michael Keaton. But, yeah, Ezra Miller was there, and, he's getting, I don't think he got into any shenanigans, so thank God for that much. But, yeah, the movie's coming out, and I'm excited, and I thought it would be fun to talk about the previous Michael Keaton Batman entries, right? So in this episode, we're going to be talking about, as you probably see from the title, Batman and Batman Returns. And I'm going to talk about those movies and share my love and growing up and pretty much why I'm such a big, Michael Keaton Batman fan, right? Because I've probably said it on this podcast before, but you gravitate, I think, towards the Batman that you grew up with. I think, at least. It's, I feel bad for people who grew up with the George Clooney Batman first, because that fucking movie is outlandish. And maybe one day I will. I was thinking about it before. Like right now, this is, Flash-centric because Michael Keaton and all that. But I will maybe do Batman Forever and Batman and Robin in an episode. Maybe I'll talk about those in a few weeks or something. If people want to listen to that, let me know however you could reach me. But yeah, today we're talking about strictly the Keaton Batmans. And as I've said, I grew up with these movies. I'm born in 88. So this movie came out in 89. I was too young, obviously, to know all the hype that was surrounding this movie. But fuck, man, when you hear the legendary, status of the hype of this movie and the promotions for this movie, apparently these posters were everywhere. with the Batman emblem. And it's still a badass fucking poster. That's the thing. When you look at this poster, when you go back and you look at Batman 89's poster, that just gold bat symbol, the emblem, it's beautiful. Nicholson, Keaton. Obviously, Nicholson got top billing because he was the megastar in this movie, right? And this is probably, it's probably negotiated in his contract, but it's obvious. He was a bigger star than Keaton and stuff like that. It is what it is. This movie came out originally June 19th, 1989. And that's one of the things, too. June 23rd, 1989. Looking at the Wikipedia. Damn fucking Wikipedia has a couple different dates, but it was June 23rd, 1989. Almost basically the time that The Flash is coming out. I don't know why they didn't do that. I'm glad I'm seeing The Flash earlier than the 23rd, but they could have done that, right? Because what is let me see right now. Let me pull up the old calendar. But yeah, so it's coming out this week. So it's technically coming out the 16th, June 16th, early showings being the 15th. Yeah, next Friday is June 23rd. So I'm surprised what comes. I don't even know what comes out next week. I don't know. Who fucking knows? But yeah, I gotta say, missed opportunity a little bit there, right? Could have got and released the movie on that date. Would have been nice, right? But yeah, June 23rd, 1989 is when the movie hit. That date was plastered everywhere from, if you go and read up on it, it was just, it was a juggernaut, right? A marketing juggernaut. This was a movie, too, that was interesting because the casting, there was so many names that were attached at one point to play Bruce Wayne, Batman, and some of the names here. Ready? I'm going to read these to you. Mel Gibson, listen, we're not going to talk about Mel Gibson, what he's done and what he said and stuff like that, but Mel Gibson, fucking Lethal Weapon Mel Gibson, Martin Riggs, guy's great, right? Can't knock the characters he plays. Kevin Costner, Charlie Sheen, a little bit younger, really, but Mel Gibson I could picture Mel Gibson as Batman. Tom Selleck, I don't know if I could picture Tom Selleck. Harrison Ford could do anything. I love Harrison Ford, but I don't think I would have wanted Harrison Ford to play Batman too. But hey, Dennis Quaid, Randy Quaid, no, not Randy Quaid, that was a joke. Randy Quaid, though, have you guys seen him lately? Guys and gals, have you looked up what's going on? Randy Quaid, is he okay? I don't know. But yeah, Dennis Quaid, definitely could have seen him as Batman as well. But I think the strangest one is Bill Murray was in there, which is fucking wild. And I'm sure there was a slew of other people, but we get Michael Keaton, right? And now this is a strange time. Obviously, this is pre-internet. This is pre-all backlash where something happens. And this is one of those movies that kind of was the internet before the internet, because Michael Keaton, previously to this movie, he did a lot of comedies. He did movies like, Night Shift, that he did with Henry Winkler, I believe that's the name of the movie. He did movies like Mr. Mom. He did movies like Johnny Dangerously with Joe Piscopo. And of course, he did, right before this, with Tim Burton, who he would work with on this. Again, he did Beetlejuice. So, Michael Keaton was mostly a comedic actor, and there was a backlash. There was letters written to Warner Brothers and rejecting this and then begging, for some kind of change and not to cast Michael Keaton, right? Which is it's funny to think about now, because now that's common ground, right? With the internet, everybody fucking bitches, everybody fucking whines, tries to get their way, and sometimes it works. I mean, look at the Sonic thing that happened a few years ago, right? They didn't like the way Sonic looked, which rightfully so. I mean, when they released that trailer, Sonic looked like shit. But it was just amazing that many people could get on it, write all this shit, and then the studio's like, shit, we're changing it. So it's not exactly, that stuff doesn't exactly isn't exactly rare. It happens where, like, you know, who's to say if the internet existed, let's say, that Michael Keaton may have been changed. But, you know, back then they didn't give a shit. I mean, they didn't give a shit. Look at the Zack Snyder thing, right? Look at the Zack Snyder Justice League. If you go back a few episodes, I forgot what number it is, but I talk about that. That's a good timing to listen to that episode too, you know, because we're talking about the Flash, and it's all leading up to the Flash. So you go back. I'll tell you what episode it is right now. It's boom. It's episode 50, Zack Snyder's Justice League trilogy. I talk about Man of Steel. I talk about Batman v Superman, and I talk about the Justice League film he did. But that ties into the Flash as well, as you said. But look at that. That fucking movie, it literally happened because fans were fucking petitioning, right? They were retweeting, they were fucking emailing, they were doing everything. But it's crazy that before the internet, this is one of those things, one of the first instances of that, you know, having this iconic character of Batman where people held so close to their heart, they wanted it played by somebody else. They didn't believe in Michael Keaton, which I was a little baby. I didn't know Michael Keaton at that point, but maybe I wouldn't have believed in Michael Keaton. I mean, Michael Keaton fucking Beetlejuice, that was great. I think I would have supported Michael Keaton. I think I would have shown my support, as I do now. But anyway, the backlash it gets, people wanted to recast it. They don't. The movie goes on filming and stuff like that, and they cut together an early trailer of the movie, you know, to basically show what this is going to be. And boom, fucking people start being like, wow, because they show the trailer. If you go watch this trailer, it's basically a fucking trailer that has no like music or anything like that. It's just scenes from the movie, and you just got to see how fucking badass Michael Keaton was, you know, and it gave people hope. They saw that trailer and they're like, oh shit, this is fucking... Now this movie, let's get into the nitty and gritty of this movie, right? It's a little bit dated now. I guess it's a lot of bit dated. You know, I guess when you... The quintessential Batman movies are the Dark Knight trilogy, right? Nolan set a standard. He set a bar with Batman Begins, with Dark Knight, and yes, even Dark Knight Rises, although it's a little inconsistent. He set a bar. The grounded Batman reality movies, but like way before, I love Christopher Nolan, love those movies. Way before that, we had Burton's Batman 89. And this was like, you know, this was coming from a time, it was a strange time too, when you look into it, because at that point, Batman, you know, was a comic book, obviously. And the last iteration that was super mainstream was the Adam West 1966 show, which was tongue-in-cheek, which was goofy on purpose, right? It was a lot of goofy stuff, shark repellent in the fucking movie, but it was funny. And you go back and watch that show, it still is funny. But it was done in that tongue-in-cheek way. So Batman being casted, you know, or another live-action Batman movie, at this point, people didn't know what the movie was going to be. Was it going to be humorous? Was it going to be a darker turn, as some of the earlier comics had been? Because at that point, I think, too, the comics had even gone to, like, a lighter tone. You know, you had animated versions of Batman that were kind of lighter. This, of course, predates Batman the Animated Series, which was a follow-up to this film and Batman Returns, and, you know, had the Danny Elfman's, you know, theme, and kind of wasn't set in that world, but took its themes from that and had more darker stuff. So at this point, we don't have that kind of Batman. So there was even, I think I read somewhere that Michael Keaton assumed it was going to be a comedy when he was doing it, you know, when he signed up for it, because, you know, he had just done Beetlejuice, Tim Burton. They had just had a good time doing that, and he assumed that's what it was going to be, because he knew the Adam West thing, the Adam West show. Funny note, like Adam West, and you go watch him in like an interview from when this movie was, you know, in production or whatever, he was kind of like mad that he didn't get asked back to be Batman. Now, this is, of course, like, it's ridiculous when you watch it, and you could sit there with like eyes of today and be like, why the fuck is this guy getting mad? You know, it's a fucking this shit is, people play different people. But like back in the day, this wasn't so common, right? Other than James Bond, which was, played by Sean Connery, played by Roger Moore, played by Timothy Dalton and all that. Like, you had different actors. Like, an iconic role like Batman, he was the last guy to really play him in live action. So I could understand from that time period. This is before, recasting superheroes, and the superhero movies really became what they were today. So he's sitting there like, he's kind of fucking mad. Weird, but he's mad. And so you get Michael Keaton in this movie. And as I said, Michael Keaton known predominantly for comedies at this point. And, you get Tim Burton, who at this point he's done, as far as big movies, he's done Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And I think he did Beetlejuice. And I think those were his two movies. Warner Brothers, based on the success of those two movies, Beetlejuice made a nice amount of money. They give him the reins, right, to do Batman. And he brings along Michael Keaton, and he does his film. And not only does he do that, they get Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Like, Jack Nicholson, you want to talk about Jack Nicholson playing the crazy roles that he's played. Like, just a perfect fit. Like, one of the most obvious fits. You see Jack Nicholson as the Joker, and it must have came to them in 5 seconds. Like, we need Jack Nicholson as the Joker because he plays a lunatic good, right? And he's essentially playing like the comic. It's a comic book version of the Joker. And as I said earlier, like, stuff from this is a little dated, right? You watch, Heath Ledger Joker later on in Dark Knight. Heath Ledger, probably pound for pound my favorite Joker. I mean, I have the guy tattooed on my arm, and we'll talk about other things I have tattooed on my arm. But, like, I have him tattooed on my arm. I really do like Heath Ledger's Joker. But I love Jack Nicholson's Joker equally. It's just a different Joker. It's a different iteration. It's a different style. It's a different approach. They both live in their own world, and they both fit in my ranking next to each other. Those are my favorite Jokers. Those two. I did like, Joaquin Phoenix. What he did with that was more of like a, an examination of somebody with mental problems, more so than the Joker. But nobody liked fucking Jared Leto, right? We can honestly say that. But, but yeah, it's a different version. It's more comic booky. It's more goofy. It's kind of got that, he's got the stupid jokes. He's got the stupid one-liners. Never rub another man's Roomba, or whatever the hell he says. Where does he get those wonderful toys, right? All the shit he says in that movie, the one-liners. But you have Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson got some fucking crazy payday on this, because I think he took, I'm not going to go into numbers and start looking shit up, but I think he took a pay cut, and then he took like a back end. But he took something ridiculous. Like, he took a back end as far as like merchandising and stuff like that. Like, he took whatever deal he made, he ended up making some fucking crazy amount over this movie, with the box office and with the merchandising and toys and shirts and all that shit, right? Because this thing was, as I said earlier, a juggernaut. And they just made everything Batman cereal, Batman shirts, Batman toys, Batman fucking underwear, everything, right? I wish I had a pair of Michael Keaton 1989 Batman underwear, but I don't. But this movie, I like this movie. As I said, you have to watch it with the eyes of where the time it came from, right? Now, Superman, the 78 Superman, the Richard Donner film, obviously very successful film, spawned 3 sequels. Christopher Reeve, greatest Superman, iconic as Superman. A lot of people grew up with him and him being their Superman, and he's forever going to be their Superman. But as far as like, as much as that was a successful comic book movie, you had Marlon Brando in there as well. Batman 89 is really like the movie that really like cemented, the fact that you could do comic book movies. Now, listen, it will be a long time before a lot of these studios got the formula right. they would try. One thing that came after Batman 89 is like movies based on old comic strips, right? You got fucking Dick Tracy with Warren Beatty. You got The Shadow with Alec Baldwin. Later on, you got The Phantom with Billy Zane. You got these movies because they were all trying to capture that kind of Batman 89-esque magic, but like Batman is such a fucking iconic character. As I said, though, Batman at this time wasn't super popular. He was having the resurgence with, Dark Knight Returns, the Frank Miller stuff. And that's the approach they kind of took here, right? A little bit darker. They took some liberties in the film, which I'm never really bothered by. I mean, when I was young and, watching Batman 89, probably my first experience of Batman over the years, when you're younger, I would assume that, the Joker killed Batman's parents. But that was something that was added into the mythology to fit a feature-length, film. And I think it works. I think in the context of the movie, it works. They kind of do the whole, you made me and I made you kind of thing. That's just to give them that much more to fight over. Now, I like this movie. Every time I watch this movie, I mean, I enjoy it. As I said, there's stuff that's dated. The suit, we'll get to the better suit when we talk about Batman Returns, but like the suit in this movie, it's a little stiff, right? He's got the neck. He turns his whole fucking body to turn. It's a little bit like even the cowl, when you look up closely to the Batman 89 cowl and stuff like that, it kind of looks like it's made out of fucking, like, it's obviously made out of rubber or something like that, but it kind of looks like it's like thrown together like paper mache or something like that. You get the symbol. The symbol's a little bit, it's got the little the little swirly things at the bottom. It's not the traditional Batman symbol that we've all come to know and love. We would have that in the next one. Batman Returns has a sleeker suit, and it has the more traditional logo. But Michael Keaton is Batman. It's so funny because you watch this movie and Michael Keaton is such a fucking versatile actor, and I don't know if he gets the credit. I think he does nowadays. He's got a big resurgence going on the last few years and stuff like that. Movies like Birdman he did years ago. He's great in the movie The Founder about the fucking McDonald's guy who fucking essentially stole the restaurant from those guys. But Ray Kroc, good movie though. But like Michael Keaton is so fucking good. Like he is, and he doesn't have an Oscar or anything like that. But like that shit's all bullshit anyway. But like you take somebody like Tom Hanks, let's say, Tom Hanks got a couple Oscars, I think. One for Philadelphia, and I'm forgetting what the other one's for, but he's got a couple Oscars. But like they're pound for pound on the same page in my book, Michael Keaton, Tom Hanks, because first of all, they're both national treasures to me, and I think to a lot of people, but they're just so versatile. They both, started a lot of comedic roles. Keaton, I think, even did like stand up early in his career and stuff like that. And then like to give the performances that they've given in movies, I mean, Keaton's done some dramatic stuff. He's done some stuff like fucking Clean and Sober. Then he's done some stuff where he's a fucking psychopath. Pacific Heights, where he's like a nightmare tenant. Good movie, good popcorn movie. Ridiculous, but he's like a nightmare tenant that moves into a building. And then he does like, the comedic stuff, as I said. Fucking Beetlejuice. Great. And he improvised half the shit that's in that movie. And then he does Batman, and, he plays it, he doesn't play it obviously humorous. He's dark, I think, when he's Bruce Wayne, but he's imposing in that fucking costume. And it's funny because Michael Keaton's like 5'9". Michael Keaton's like my height. I'm fucking essentially an Oompa Loompa. And he's like, he's a small guy, and that's another reason why they didn't like when Michael Keaton got cast as Batman. But in that suit, he's got the fucking jawline, he's got the mask, when he's got the black eye makeup on, he's fucking great. He does it. He imposes. There's something scary about him too. When he's trying to be Batman, he's trying to be scary, and he's fucking beating up villains. He does it. He pulls it off. And listen, just like I said, Heath Ledger is my favorite Joker, I could probably say, Michael Keaton is my favorite Batman. Some people might say he's not the best Batman, but as far as my favorite, he's my favorite. I grew up with the guy. He's the first image I had of Batman, right? Being fucking holding those guys off in the building in the beginning of this movie. Like, I'm Batman. Obviously, we're getting a call back to that in The Flash. See how it plays out in the actual film. It might feel a little forced, but that's all right. I'm there for the fan service. I mean, it is what it is. You want to see, there's certain things you want to see when you go see these movies that, rehash the past and all that stuff. You want to see it. You want to enjoy it. It's the, the Chewie we're home kind of moment from Force Awakens. You just want to see those things. They make you feel all tingly inside, right? But Michael Keaton's great in this movie. Now, it's been argued for years that, this is like a Batman movie, but it's really just a Joker movie. And listen, Michael Keaton's star at this point versus Jack Nicholson's star. Jack Nicholson's at this point is a fucking legend. So you're getting a legend in this movie, and he's playing the Joker. So a lot of it does focus on the Joker. You get the Joker's origin story. You get a lot into his life. You get fucking Jack Palance in there. Oh my God, Jack Palance. He's in a small role, but yet again, another Hollywood legend. You know him from City Slickers 2. The more, known stuff is in that comedic work, but guy's been around forever. But the late, great Jack Palance, given the, "You're my number one guy," and then Jack Nicholson essentially later on in the movie doing an imitation of "You're my number one guy." It's fucking hysterical. I love all that stuff. It's all so quotable. I mean, me and my cousin Frank, we quote this movie all the time, have laughs about it because we fucking love Batman 89. It never gets old. There is ridiculous stuff there. First of all, this couple things. And the movie, originally they approached Jack Nicholson for the Joker, but they used Robin Williams. Apparently they used Robin Williams as bait. They kind of fucked Robin Williams. They offered it to Robin Williams. And unbeknownst to him, they were essentially just doing that so that Jack Nicholson would hear about it and want it and agree to do it. So they kind of fucked Robin Williams over, and for a long time I think he was in a rough patch with Warner Brothers because of what they did. I don't remember. I remember hearing something about Batman Forever later on with him as the Riddler. I'll go into that when I do those movies. But yeah, they essentially did that just to get Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson heard about the Robin Williams thing, and he signed on, pissed off Robin Williams. There was also Michael Jackson, I believe, was supposed to do the soundtrack to this movie. I'm not talking about the score. Danny Elfman, obviously a frequent collaborator with Tim Burton, he does the score, but the soundtrack, the pop music, was originally, I think, supposed to be done by Michael Jackson. It ended up being done by Prince. So the whole musical soundtrack is done by Prince. And I think there was something competitive with them too, as well, that maybe led Prince to do it. But yeah, is it wild that, a Prince soundtrack is in a Batman movie? But it works. It fucking works. Does it feel a little dated at times? But that's what this movie's from the 80s. The last year of 1980, and you get a Prince soundtrack. You get Party Man. The Prince song, if you have, what the song is. If you've seen this movie, you listen to this podcast, right? When Joker goes around the museum and he's throwing paint everywhere. You get the other song during the parade, "Trust Go To Ya," whatever the fuck that song is. And I actually own the Batman Prince soundtrack, and it's ridiculous. There's a song called Bat Dance on that soundtrack that's an 8-minute song, and it's got I think it's about 8 minutes or whatever the hell it is. It's longer, I remember. And it's got fucking clips of the movie and fucking all this shit. It's wild. What a wild time, right? You have Prince do the soundtrack. That's could you imagine a pop? I mean, nobody's fucking Prince, but if you had you had Prince, rest in peace, but you had him do the soundtrack to Batman Begins. It's crazy, but it works. It works. All the shit, all the Burton stuff. Burton. This is Burton, peak Burton, right? Third movie in. After this, he does he do? I think he might do Edward Scissorhands in between, or he does Batman Returns next. I don't know what his next feature-length movie is, but he's on the streak, right? This is if you don't like Tim Burton, because maybe you don't like his newer movies, you have to go revisit his first wave of movies. His first wave of movies, you can't knock them. As I said, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Beetlejuice, Batman Returns, Edward Scissorhands, Edward, those movies are fucking classic. Now, a lot of the time, they tend to be hit or miss. That's why, like with Beetlejuice 2, it's questioned. I hope it's good. I hope they're doing the right thing. They got everybody back and stuff like that. But I hope it's like original Burton. But he's doing his thing here. Just the visuals, everything just works. Fucking Gotham City is fucking terrifying. That's first of all. And that's one thing I'll say versus all the Batman movies. Whether it be like, the Christian Bale Batman, the later Batmans in this series, they go a little bananas, the Joel Schumacher ones, Batman from Batman and Robin, but the Gotham City like feels like its own character in the Burton Batman movies versus like in the other ones, as I said, and even in the Dark Knight and stuff like that. It just feels like a regular city. It feels like it's New York. It feels like Chicago or something like that. It just feels like that. It doesn't have the feel that the Burton Batman had. Like that. Just it feels like this dirty, fucking disgusting, fucking terrifying city that Gotham is, right? And that Gotham right out of the comics, right? I think you feel it a little bit. I will say you feel a little bit in the Robert Pattinson Batman that Gotham is a little bit more of a character in that film. But yeah, I miss that because even in like Batman v Superman and stuff like that, you don't feel the character of the city, right? Where in this one, it's haunting. I don't know, there's people running around. It's fucking all like the skyscrapers. There's all foggy and shit like that. I mean, even in the beginning of the film, when that family's about to gets robbed rather, it's fucking terrifying. And the goons of Gotham, right? And you get it a lot more too in Batman Returns. But yeah, love this movie. Just the ridiculous stuff, as I said, Joker, Jack Nicholson putting on fucking glasses, saying you wouldn't punch a guy with glasses, would you? Essentially him beating the shit out of the Joker on a clock tower. You got Kim Basinger in there, right? She's doing a good job as Vicky Vale. You got fucking Alfred, right? I gotta get this actor's name. I'm forgetting it. And he's fucking in my childhood, this guy, right? He was in all four of the Batmans, even the Joel Schumacher ones. Michael Gough, who was a guy that I think popped up in like Hammer horror movies back in the day, in the 60s and stuff like that. And so Burton was a fan of him, and he put him in this movie, and he's fucking great, man. He's like the lovable Alfred. Listen, Michael Caine is fucking wonderful as Alfred. I love Michael Caine. Michael Caine. There was a ruby the size of a tangerine. I love Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton. I'm still just thinking about Michael Keaton at all times. I love Michael Caine as Alfred. But second is Alfred Gough, however you pronounce his name, because he's just like I said, he's the lovable Alfred. He's just the grandfather figure, I mean, he just, and he's the one, piece in the four, as I said, in the two Schumacher movies, that he's the one constant throughout those four movies. So it makes it feel like it has a little bit connective tissue there. Obviously you get Val Kilmer and George Clooney later and fucking Chris O'Donnell, and it feels like a different fucking world. But it's nice to have him back in those two as well. But yeah, Batman 89, love it. Love the fucking Batmobile. The soundtrack, the score, rather, by Danny Elfman, that theme. Fucking classic. I'm looking forward to, the reprises in The Flash that we've seen in the trailer. There's going to be those Danny Elfman themes in there. I'm looking forward to it all. The Batmobile, the Batwing. Love it all. Right? I love the ridiculousness of it. As I said, the Prince music that's sprinkled throughout there, right? And Michael Keaton, kicking ass, doing his thing, looking a little stiff at times. You get that guy from Arliss in there as the reporter. And I just like he kind of plays, Michael Keaton plays Bruce Wayne, kind of like, he's dark, he's brooding, he's not as brooding as like fucking Robert Pattinson or anything like that. He's not wearing like the eyeliner and dripping down Although I like that addition, that they actually acknowledge the fact that he's painting his eyes, which in none of these films, these older films, they do. But, you know, he's kind of doing that. And he's kind of doing the you want to get nuts thing, right? You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. And then I heard recently that was like, you know, improv, and that wasn't in the script. Keaton was saying in an interview that they just kind of pulled that out of his ass. So that's even more interesting. A little weird in that scene, in the context of that scene, the motives that Bruce Wayne had. Because what was he going to do? I mean, he put a tray underneath his shirt. He was planning on getting shot there. But, like, you're going to get shot by this guy. Jack Nicholson's dialogue, though, a lot of fun. He's having a lot of fun with the role. He's got the look down packed. I love the whole, like, painting his face to look normal thing. I love all that. I think that works. And he's dripping it down, it's dripping down his face and stuff like that. And as I said, the connective, you know, tissue that, okay, he killed the parents. It works in the context of the movie. You get that young, creepy guy that kind of looks like Jack Nicholson playing him younger. It works. Guy scares me a little bit. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? Love that line. Iconic. And this movie was successful, right? The movie was obviously hugely successful. Secures Michael Keaton as a bona fide movie star. As I said, with Jack Nicholson, makes a fucking boatload of money off this, and there's obviously going to be a sequel, right? So the sequel, I believe now, to talk about Beetlejuice, as I said, I was going to try not to talk about Beetlejuice 2, that they're currently filming, as I will remind you. But this pertains to Batman Returns, because I think at this time, Michael Keaton, Tim Burton, after the success of Batman, they're talking about doing another Beetlejuice. There was a script floating around called Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. That was going to be the next project. They were both signed on to do it. I believe Winona Ryder was signed on to do it. And then the option to do Batman Returns pops up. And they basically gave Warner Brothers gave Burton full creative control to do this movie and do it the way he wanted to. And so now, if you thought that the Batman 89 was weird and stuff like that, just wait till you get a load of this, you know. Wait till they get a load of me, right? Because this fucking Batman Returns just ups the ante, right? Now you got everybody back, pretty much, right? Keaton, you got Burton, you got Elfman coming back. And then you got new cast members, right? Because you got Michael Gough as Alfred returning as well, as I mentioned. Now, how do you fill the void of Jack Nicholson, right? Because Jack Nicholson obviously takes a tumble off the fucking building at the end of the first film. Scary. A lot of scary imagery. When you're watching this movie as a kid, and as I said, like even Keaton at some points, you know, he's an intimidating figure, even being 5'8" and that bad. Fucking Jack Nicholson's terrifying in that movie. That scene when he's getting his face redone and you don't see his face and he's like in the doctor's seat and the doctor's got all those sharp, weird tools. Fucking, that was terrifying. He gets up and he's laughing and then he hits the light bulb. That shit lives in my mind. I love that part. As an adult, doesn't scare me, but I still feel the little creeps that scene used to give me as a kid. Now, you think that shit was scary, right? How do you up the ante, as I was saying, in Batman Returns? Well, you up the ante by getting Danny DeVito. Okay, Danny DeVito, who's going to play the Penguin. All right? Danny DeVito as a fucking Penguin. My God. All right, now how do you up that just a little bit more? Just for shits and giggles. Let's up that a little bit more. How do you up that? Okay. Not only is Danny DeVito in this movie as the main villain, right? Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin, okay, the nightmarish makeup that he's gonna have, right? Because Tim Burton's got to take it. Tim Burton's got to Burtonize it, right? Tim Burton's not just gonna be, oh yeah, he's not just gonna have a, walk like a penguin or go wah, wah, wah. Burgess Meredith, Mickey from the Rocky movies, played the Penguin in the 1966 series. He's great. He's rah, 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 rah. He does that whole thing. He's great. He works for the time. He even Cesar Romero, who played the Joker in the 66 show and movie. He's great as well. You know, he's doing his thing. He didn't... Cesar Romero apparently was like famous for his mustache, and he refused to shave his mustache in the Batman 66 stuff. So like if you look closely, it's not that hard to see. Underneath the white Joker paint, you can see that mustache there. And I think it's just become its own joke. But that's neither here nor there. But how do you top, right? How do you top Jack Nicholson? As I said, you get Danny DeVito, who actually, I think they're actually friends in real life. And, you know, he was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. They're friends in real life. So you get Danny DeVito. Then you get Christopher Walken. That's right. Christopher fucking Walken as Max Schreck, who is an absolute fucking nightmare. He's got this big gray hair. He's terrifying, right? You get him. Wow. How's your father's watch? You know, all that. I'm not going to do my Christopher Walken like everybody else does. Your father wore this watch in his ass. 5 years. But you get fucking that creepy son of a bitch. You get him in the movie, right? So now you got fucking Danny DeVito in here. Fucking powerhouse. As the Penguin. You get Christopher Walken as your kind of secondary villain. Max Schreck. And now Danny DeVito is going to wear heavy prosthetic. Fucking heavy, terrifying. Like anything that was unsettling about Batman 89 as a kid, it just pales in comparison to the unsettling stuff that goes on in Batman Returns, because Danny DeVito is grotesque. He's fucking stubby. He's fat. He's got that body. I'm thinking about a meme. There's like a meme that I saw that was like basically like every group of girls always has that one like bitchy friend that looks like this, and it was like fucking Oswald Cobblepot from Batman Returns. But it's true. That is a fact. Sorry, but there's always that friend in the friend group that kind of like stops you from talking to the pretty girl because they're like, and she looks like fucking Oswald Cobblepot. We all know it's true. We've all been there. And there's a version of that sometimes in guy circles too. So it's not just girls. And then speaking of girls, right? So now we got those two heavy hitters, right? As the villainous people. And then you got fucking Michelle Pfeiffer. Michelle fucking Pfeiffer as Catwoman, which is amazing. The best Catwoman yet again. Tattoos. I got Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman on my arm as well, right below Heath Ledger from the Joker, from Dark Knight. So like, love her. The stuff she does in this movie, she's very, very attractive. Okay. I'll say that as a man. Could you even say that anymore? Are we allowed to say that as men? Could you say a woman's attractive? She's very sexy. She's sexy, but she's also got she's a little scary. You know, she's got that leather fucking suit on, that skin tight thing that apparently they vacuum sealed it. She's got a whip that she really learned how to whip like that. And there's a video of her behind the scenes like whipping shit and everybody's cheering. Fucking awesome, right? Dangerous, deadly, as I said, sexy. She's top Catwoman for me, right? I mean, top tier when you talk about Catwomans. I definitely go back to the 66 show. I think there was 3 of them. They were all good. Then you get her, who's just fucking just the way she looks, especially when the mask becomes like all fucking busted open, or fucking hair sticking out. She looks like a fucking lunatic. She's great. I mean, Anne Hathaway, I'm not even going to talk about like Halle Berry, but Anne Hathaway in The Dark Knight Rises, she was good. She just did, like, I don't know, there's something about Anne Hathaway, you know, she plays a lot of, like, you know, where she plays the good girl kind of role. She's done it a lot of times. It was hard for me to see her in that role. Something just never sat right with me as far as like playing that villainous kind of anti-hero, right? The newer one in the Batman, what is it, Lenny Kravitz's daughter, right? Whatever the fucking name is. She was pretty good. I liked her too. She worked, but when push comes to shove, Michelle Pfeiffer, she's got the fucking eyes. There's something about Michelle Pfeiffer's blue eyes that are just like hypnotic, right? And she just really took on that like feline, performance. And shit, we were all under her spell, right? I'm still under her fucking spell. She's doing it. And Danny DeVito's fucking spell. He's, as I said, just like walking in this movie, absolute nightmare. Fucking black shit coming out of his mouth and his fucking nose and his hair, and you could just smell him. You could smell him in this performance. You could smell when you look at him, especially when he's in like that those undergarments he wears, like the kind of pajama looking shit that he wears in his stubby body. You could just smell the sewer, and you could smell fish, and the scene when he's eating the fish, or the scene where he's like, things could be worse, my nose could be gushing blood, and then he bites the guy's fucking, this movie's a fucking horror movie. Batman Returns, as I said, ups the ante, right? Michael Keaton back again, doing his fucking thing. And Michael Keaton, he's got a little more spotlight, I think, in this movie, but you got the powerhouses that I just mentioned, right? You got Pfeiffer, you got DeVito, you got Walken, and, they're stealing a lot of the show. But he's in there. The suit has been revamped here for the best, right? It's sleeker. It's better looking. The symbol's better looking. The mask looks cleaner than it does in Batman 89, where the mask looks very fucking rubbery in that film. You get the sleeker look. Batman straight up killing people in this movie. He fucking, that one clown in the beginning, or whatever the hell, like, he ties like a bomb to him. Excuse me. Yawning. He ties a bomb to him at one point, and then he smiles before the guy fucking blows up. He does like a creepy Keaton smile that I sometimes send to people as a GIF or GIF, however you say that. But yeah, fun movie. Okay, fun movie. As a kid, should I have been watching this movie? Definitely not. There's, whatever. I'm not saying that from a standpoint of like, I don't regret watching this movie, but there's a lot of adult themes. I mean, there's a lot of like sexual innuendos, sometimes between Keaton and Pfeiffer, and then sometimes fucking the fucking Penguin, Danny DeVito, is a fucking pervert, and he's saying some stuff, and he's creepy, and just like, Pfeiffer's licking, Batman's fucking face, but Tim Burton didn't make this for kids. That's a problem. Like Batman 89, a huge success with toys and everything like that, and you got to do it, right? So they do a sequel, and this movie, this changes the trajectory of the rest of the Batman films after this, right? And a lot of that is because parents got mad at this movie. Like, the movie made money. I'm pretty sure it made what the first one made, and it might even made more, but it made its money. But it was the point of that, for instance, there was Happy Meals at McDonald's of Batman Returns. And so I had a couple of them. It was like a penguin and a little yellow car. I'm remembering this off the top of my head. But there was, Catwoman, Batman, obviously. And there was like, penguin, this little yellow car with this little umbrella in the front that swirled around. And like, so when there's a Happy Meal for a movie, that might sway a parent to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to take my kid, and you took your kid to this, and you're probably sitting there like, what the fuck am I watching? It's amazing now when you think back on it, just the murder in this movie, the death, Michelle Pfeiffer gets pushed out a fucking window. As I said, the sexual stuff is all there. Like, people meet their deaths in grisly ways, and a little bit more like than the original. I mean, obviously Jack Nicholson falls to his death and stuff like that, and people die. But like this one especially, the gruesome nature in which fucking Danny DeVito fucking plops dead at the end. Christopher Walken gets electrocuted to death with a kiss and a taser from the Catwoman, and his burnt, charred body with his bulging eyes remains with the hair. I mean, it's a feel-good movie in 1992, right? Because that's when it came out, 1992, and yeah. So parents, it's kind of like a backlash especially after having, these toys and stuff like that aiming at children and stuff like that. And I get it, but like, nobody told you to take your kid to go see fucking Batman Returns. This is like fully Burton, like the Gotham City was scary in the first one. It's even more terrifying. There's fucking clowns running around. I don't even know what's going on. There's clowns. Like, there's no Joker in this one, and there's fucking clowns. There's circus clowns running around, a fat one, a skinny one. This movie's set around Christmas time, which, let's go. They started the argument of Die Hard being a Christmas movie, and Die Hard is a Christmas movie. And Batman Returns is a fucking Christmas movie too, because there's a lot of Christmas imagery. There's a lot of snow imagery. It's a Christmas movie. It's about family. It's about Oswald Cobblepot's family putting him in a fucking river and pushing him away. Who the father is actually played by Pee Wee Herman himself, Paul Reubens, in the beginning of the movie. If you catch that, if you didn't, but yeah, this is a Christmas movie. Just a good time. Just a good time. Yet again, Danny Elfman returning with the soundtrack, and just I love this movie. I think this might be, honestly, pound for pound, it might be better than Batman 89. It might actually be a better movie, and that's saying a lot, because to not have that, iconic performance from Jack Nicholson, yeah, you're at a loss there, but like, the rest of the cast, the new cast and stuff like that, they fill those voids. Even Christopher Walken's son, Max Schreck's son, who is ridiculous, and he kind of looks like Christopher Walken, but he's a big doofus. He said, "I'll save yourself, Dad." Yet again, another quote that I quote my cousin Frankie. This movie's just, there's a lot of fucked up shit in there. There's the one point when he's, the Penguin's driving the car, like he's controlling the Batmobile. But yeah, so this movie, as I said, dark. They I guess that Warner Brothers they planned on making a lot more from the Batman movie, and they felt that maybe the unhappy parents that were thinking this was a family-friendly movie, and then they go see it, and they're like, what the fuck am I watching? Why is he leaking black stuff out of his mouth? Why does he look like that? He's scaring the children, so much to the point where apparently, like, the action figures from Batman Returns, like, rather than them make Oswald Cobblepot based on Danny DeVito, they just took, like, a penguin from another DC line that was released years before, and they just repainted it. And that was the penguin that you got when you bought a penguin from Batman Returns, because it was like, it was too scary for kids. Like, could you imagine, I saw this on TV as a kid and stuff like that, and I always got a kick out of it. Like, I was never, like, really afraid of it. Scary imagery, fine, but could you imagine, like, being a little small child and, like, your mother takes you to the movies to see this? Like, I could see, like, all right, like a 3-year-old or 4-year-old, probably fuck you up. Like, definitely fuck you up, as the first one would. But yeah, Tim Burton was doing everything in his powers. As I said, full creative control, really did what he wanted to do, made the movie he wanted to make. And I think it's a good fucking movie. I think it's one of the best superhero movies. A little bit less dated, really, than Batman 89. Because Batman 89, that Prince soundtrack and stuff like that, that dates it a little bit more. Some of the humor and stuff like that in here. But this one feels like it aged a little bit better. You don't have a lot of the stupid humor and stuff like that 89 has, and you have just fucking dark, as I said, Christopher Walken, terrifying presence. And then it's even more terrifying because, like, you see him push her out the window, and then in real life that, like, Christopher Walken was on a boat with Robert Wagner and Natalie Wood drown. And nobody knows what happened still to this day. Christopher Walken, fucking Max Schreck, did he fucking drown her? I don't know. Maybe Robert Wagner did it. That's why I theorize that Robert Wagner did it. But somebody did it. Somebody killed her. I don't think she just fell over the boat. But that's another podcast right there. But Batman Returns. It was an awesome Batman Returns video game, too, for Super Nintendo, where you walked around and you beat up fucking clowns and guys on fucking motorcycles with big skull heads would roll into you, and that fucking game's amazing. But the thing with this movie, as I said, it didn't make the money I think that Warner Brothers was expecting it to make, even though it was a success. And they kind of blamed it a little bit on the darkness and, some of the reviews and stuff like that. I think time has been kinder to this movie. I think people appreciate this movie. They appreciate the performances. Obviously, they appreciate fucking Keaton. But what happens next is they wanted to go in a lighter tone after this film. They wanted to go a little bit lighter. They wanted to, make it a little bit more child-friendly. And it's funny because I'll talk about it when I do that podcast, but you have Batman Forever after this, which is definitely lightens up the tone a little bit. And then inevitably, it becomes Batman and Robin, which Batman and Robin was like all about just selling toys. If you listen to Joel Schumacher and the cast talk about it, like they were making the toys as that movie was filming, and they were just, everything looks like a fucking toy because that's what it became. So I think Burton made the right choice to not return. He served as a producer on Batman Forever. But yeah, he went out with Batman fucking Returns. Made 2 Batman movies. I think they still hold up. As I said, 89, a little bit dated. It is whatever. It's from the fucking 80s. It's got fucking pop music soundtrack. It's got Prince soundtrack. But Returns definitely age a little better. I mean, as I get older, I would always gravitate more towards the original, but as I get older, I think I'm starting to gravitate, lean more towards Returns. As I said, Michelle Pfeiffer, Danny DeVito, fucking great. Everybody's got great chemistry in that movie. Even Michael Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer, they're great together. The scenes that Danny DeVito shares with Keaton, and the scenes that DeVito shares with Pfeiffer, everybody works good. It's the perfect storm, right, of casting. And this is superhero movie before superhero movies, right? It's easy to say, when Nolan came back around, and as I can't stress enough, love the Nolan movies. Those fucking movies, changed my fucking life in another way, years later, but, you can't knock these movies. You can't knock these because these were in such a strange time for comic book movies. And fucking love him or hate him, Burton was onto something. And he was onto something before a lot of these other, directors years and years later did superhero movies. He beat a lot of people to the punch, right? I mean, this predates even, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies, which I love those as well. He was doing his thing. He knew what he's fucking doing. He made 2 great Batman. It was got to be hard at that time to do Batman in a way that it was successful and that people would take it seriously. And as I said, yeah, there's a lot of goofy stuff in them, but for the most part, they fucking pulled it off with these movies. And nowadays, it's kind of like a disposable thing, because every week there's a fucking new superhero movie, and there's been 100 Batman movies and stuff like that, but it's very easy to fuck up a Batman movie too, as you can see with a movie like Batman and Robin, which we'll get into in another podcast. But yeah, that's it, man. Michael Keaton as Batman, Batman and Batman Returns. If you've never seen those movies and, you're excited for The Flash, and for whatever reason, if you like Ezra Miller as The Flash and stuff like that, because I think most people are excited for The Flash because of Michael Keaton returning as Batman. But if you're excited for Flash for other reasons and you never watched the Batman, Keaton, Burton films, you owe it to yourself, right, to watch these movies. They're fun movies. They're a product of their time. But listen, you gotta watch movies like that. You watch a movie from the 60s, you gotta kind of try to watch it with a different perspective, right? Because it's different times. But fucking fun movies. Fun cast. Great score. Just love them. I'm very excited to see Keaton return as Batman. My hope, to be honest, real talk here, my hope, I know they're rebooting the DC fucking brand and all that shit, and James Gunn's at the helm, and they're doing a new Superman, they're going to do another Batman, blah, blah, blah. I hope that The Flash, which I think it will be, I think it's going to be successful, but I hope that because Keaton is getting such, positive responses and stuff like this, and yet again, to bring up Beetlejuice 2 that I haven't brought up, my hope, because Burton is currently working with Keaton again on that sequel, is that maybe studio, Warner Brothers says, hey, why don't we do just one, a Batman Keaton, a Burton Keaton film. One more Batman, Burton Batman is what I'm trying to say, if I didn't fucking stutter enough. One more of those, just to kind of give it a little swan song, right? I mean, listen, if The Flash is the last time that you see Keaton as Batman, I'm fine with that. But I would like Burton to get one more shot at that. If they'll allow him, I mean, listen, there could be fucking 10 on-screen Batmans. There could be. It's fine. We could have Robert Pattinson. They're going to do that Batman Brave and the Bold. That's going to be a different Batman. You have Ben Affleck. You have fucking... You could do one more Keaton film. Whether it's something that's like him doing one more thing and having like Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman come back. Because I heard rumors or something that there was like... They were tossing around ideas of doing like another Batman movie with Keaton, and like Pfeiffer was going to come back as Catwoman, because she obviously pops up at the end of that. And like, that would be fucking crazy to have them back and do that one more time. Like just a Keaton focused film. You could do it that way. You could do it maybe like a Batman Beyond kind of thing. I think you could do it. Especially that, like, look at the response that people are getting, that this film is getting, rather, that people are getting excited for Keaton as Batman one more time. And I think if he delivers, which we know he fucking will, whether the movie sucks or not, like, you know, Keaton's going to deliver as Batman because he's done it before. One more time. Burton, Keaton, let's go. Let's do it. Yeah, that's it though. So the next podcast will probably be The Flash. I mean, unless I think of an episode that I can squeeze in, sandwich in, as I was saying. But yeah, if this is the first time you're listening, welcome. This is the podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Check out the other episodes. What do we do lately? I'm going to pull it up. And give you some... If you're driving in the car, I'll give you some ideas of what to listen to next. First of all, we did Fast X. We did the new Spider-Verse movie. We did The Boogeyman, About My Father, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy, all that fun stuff. I was talking about Batman Returns being a Christmas movie, and obviously Die Hard's a Christmas movie. The last episode I did was an episode from the Vault. I used to do a podcast with my brother a few years back, and we did an episode on Die Hard, so I kind of found the tape of that, and I re-released it. So the previous episode, you could hear me and my brother talk about Die Hard, which, who doesn't want to hear people talk about Die Hard? Because Die Hard's one of the fucking greatest action movies ever made. So you go back and listen to that if you want to have some laughs. Check me out on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Dom Solo Reels. I post some funny stuff. I post some movie-related stuff and all that stuff. Also, check out the It's a Long Road podcast. This is a Rambo podcast that I do with a friend of mine, Ryan, and we're currently in the middle of Rambo 4. And we're talking about Rambo 4. We also did Rambo 3 recently. He also has a Rocky podcast you could check out. So if you go check out that, you could go find me and him bullshitting and laughing about Stallone and Stallone's hair and stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I look forward to doing a Flash thing, though. Definitely Flash, man. I'm going to probably, and I'll probably forewarn this, on the podcast, but probably going to do a long Flash episode, and I'll probably give my initial thoughts, and then I'll get into spoilers and all the fucking shit, because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff to unpack with that. I'll see how I feel, because I have a feeling this is going to be a movie that I see more than once, so I may even do like an episode focusing on just a basic review, and then I may do an episode focusing on spoilers. I might combine them, though. I don't like to really waste 2 episodes talking about the same thing, so we'll see. But thank you for listening. Rate, review, subscribe, all that bullshit if you enjoyed the podcast, and have a good night.